When I think of the word common, I start to think of what we, as college students, all have in common. I believe that there is one thing that we all share, one aspect of our lives, and that is that we can't all 100% say that we know what we want to do in life, in the future, after we graduate from Loma. I know that we all may think that we have it together, but let's just be honest, we really don't. I don't know how many people here can say for certain that they know what they are going to do in their life and never change their mind about it. And really locking that answer as that is my career, that is my future, and I'm not going to change it. And I am no different. As much as I would like to say that I have it all together and I know what my future is going to look like, I really don't. But despite not knowing what we want to do, I am sure of this. We all have a calling in life, and God is calling us to many different paths, and we just have to wait and see what that calling is. For me, I believe that God is calling me into the world of sports ministries. Just to give a brief background of, my introduction to sports and how I grew up in it, I grew up in the world of sports. I played many sports when I was younger, soccer, did dance, cheerleading, tennis, but I finally settled with basketball being my main sport. Our family was a basketball family. My older brother played basketball, and I have been playing since pre-K. At first, it was just a hobby, just something I did on the weekends. But eventually, it grew to become a huge passion of mine, and when I joined my club team in 7th grade, I started becoming more serious about basketball and my potential future with the sport. But to be completely honest, during this time, during the rise of my basketball interests, God was not the priority in my life. He was not in the center. He was still an important part of my life, but I chose going to practice or games instead of going to church or youth groups. Eventually, basketball became my sole focus, and I even went to high school because the high school that I went to had a great girls' basketball program. I lost sight of who I truly was because I thought that I was destined to play basketball for the rest of my life. I had dreams of playing at a top D1 basketball school, but God had a different plan for me. In many ways, He showed me that He's real and He's always had a plan for me, but amidst everything that happened in high school, it was really hard to believe that. In my junior year of high school, things were going well. School was good, my classes were good, and I had great friends. It was my first year being on varsity, so I found it a little hard to fit in with the girls, and I struggled sometimes during practice because of the higher intensities. But overall, it started off as a decently good year, or at least I thought it was going well, until something drastic happened. September 17th, 2014 is a day that I will always remember. And on this day, it wasn't like any other. Well, it started off like a normal day until 6th period in the afternoon came around, and instead of going to practice, our whole team was called into a teacher's classroom by our head varsity coach. At first, we didn't know what was going on. We were very confused, but we knew something serious had happened because all of our school counselors were outside the door, and our varsity coach looked like he had been crying, and we were kind of concerned. We didn't know what the heck was going on. And it wasn't until our coach told us that our JV coach, Steve Yano, he was doing repairs at his home, and while he was on the ladder, he fell off and hit his head, and was in critical condition in the hospital. I remember when I heard those words, I immediately broke into tears. I couldn't believe what was happening, what I just heard. He wasn't just a coach to me. He was like a father figure for me on the court, and he was one of my mentors. He meant the world to me. He believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself sometimes, and he was always looking out for me. I just couldn't lose him. It would just be too devastating. I just remember in those moments, I remember praying so much. Just crying out to God, save our coach, save him, please. He means so much to me, so much to our team, to the girls, and if I lose him, it would just be devastating. Eventually, though, I got the news a couple hours later that our coach had passed away. And this was extremely hard for me. I never lost someone so close to me before. It was just hard to just accept. But I remember one night I was watching Food Network channel, which I enjoyed watching a lot. And it was the show Chopped, but it was the Chopped Juniors. And there's a part when they ask the contestants, why are you competing? Why are you here today? And one of the little girls said that her dad was at home doing repairs on the ladder, and he fell off and hit his head, but he was going to live. He was just in the hospital recovering. And I remember when I watched that and I heard that, I was filled with so many different emotions. I was angry. I was upset. I asked God, I cried out, why would you save her dad? But why couldn't you save our coach? How is this fair? I was just so upset and angry, and I kept asking God, but I never got any answers. And so eventually, I just decided to build up this wall and try to live my life on my own. If just telling God, if you're not going to give me answers, if you're not going to speak to me, tell me what's going on, then I'm going to do it on my own. And I, you know, the next couple months from September, October to December, let me tell you, were the hardest months of my life. It was so stressful, and I just felt like I couldn't deal with anything. I just tried to live my life on my own, but it was just so too much. I lost direction. I just didn't know where I was going. And eventually, at my youth winter retreat for church, I knew I needed God back into my life. I broke down and told my small group leader everything that had happened, and I told her, I wanted God to come back. And what she said to me next, these words, they'll always carry me through life. She told me that He never left. And just hearing that He never left just amazed me. Hearing that despite how angry I've been and how much I pushed God away, that He never left me. He was always there trying to bring me back. And I was just amazed and shocked that how could someone love me so much when I've been so awful? I just knew that was real. That was real unconditional love. And so with that encouragement, I finally just prayed it all out to God. I gave up my pain, my anger, my sadness, my hurt. I just gave it all up to Him. And I asked for His Holy Spirit just to flow in me and make me feel alive again. And I remember after praying that, I was just overcome with this feeling of immense joy and happiness. I literally felt the weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I couldn't help but smile. I was crying, but I couldn't help but smile because I knew my God was there with me. And, it was those words, He never left you, that I use as encouragement in my pursuit of my own ministries. As I said before, I feel a calling into sports ministries. And so for the past 2 summers, I have been in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on a mission trip with a program called SportQuest. SportQuest is a sports ministries organization that has many projects around the world. There's one in San Diego, Louisiana, Belgium, Costa Rica. And what they do is they hold sports camps for the local communities. And they use sports as an outreach. And I thought that this was the perfect choice for my first mission trip because I have a love for sharing the gospel, and I have a love for coaching and playing basketball, and I thought, perfect combination of these 2 passions I have. With this, sports is a universal language. It's common everywhere. We may not speak the same language, and it may be hard to understand each other, but with sports, there's no need for talking. When you put a soccer ball or a basketball in front of a kid, they're going to know what to do. Therefore, there's no need to speak. You just were able to make that connection through sports, and it was just something I've never seen before. And it was just, we used it just to reach out to the kids, and it was great. And so, I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I was faced with an environment that I had never seen before. Never been to the South. Never been to Louisiana. And so there was just so much brokenness and pain and hurt in the community of Gardier, which is where we do our camp. But despite the misfortunes that some of these kids may have encountered or may even be going through at the time, they all still showed up to camp with a huge smile and looked so happy, and it made me realize how we honestly don't need much to make us happy. Yet, I complain a lot, and I'm pretty sure we all do. We complain about the little things, the things that we don't have, and other people get and we don't get. But when I look at these kids, some of them don't even have 3 meals to eat a day. Some of them only get 1 meal. Some of them don't have enough clothes to wear, so they wear the same clothes every single day. And they just don't have as much as we do, but they aren't complaining. They are still smiling because they are alive and breathing and get to enjoy the company of us coaches and just the opportunity to be loved by someone. Because that's honestly all these kids want, is just someone to love them and be with them and just to notice them, because sometimes their family life may not be great. But, when we come and we just shower them with love and grace and mercy, they're just so overcome with joy. And for me, just to show them that love of God, that was our mission. That was my mission going. And, I love Baton Rouge so much that I decided to go back another year this past summer. However, instead of just being a coach, I decided to tackle a month-long internship in which I got to see really how a project comes together and all the different aspects involved in running a project. Partnered with my leader and went with her everywhere, really got to see everything that went into it. And I got to lead different activities. And one of the big new leadership roles that I got was being in charge of worship for the whole project. And now I love to sing, and I led worship for my youth group back at home, at church, but this was definitely different because I was completely in charge. I got to pick the song list, organize practice times, so there was just a lot of responsibilities. It was exciting, but also overwhelming at the same time. So just long story short, the project went well. I did well on all the things that I was in charge of, but I was still disappointed in myself because I'm hard on myself. I know that I can do better, and when I don't do my best, I get down. And so I just wasn't as satisfied as I felt, and I just was confused, saying, God, I thought this was what I'm being called to. I don't understand how come this wasn't a better experience. But, coming home, I had to deal with summer plans being changed. I was going to go to summer school, but ended up not being able to do that. So I had to rethink how I'm going to make my summer productive. And the stress of the internship in my freshman year of college was just kind of getting me down. I felt weak and crushed, and I was just trying to find a way to stay afloat. I thought my future was with SportQuest. I thought that's what I was being called to. But when the internship didn't go as well as I thought it would, I thought to myself, is SportQuest really what I'm being called to, or is it sports ministries? Is it the act of serving the kids and using my love of basketball to really reach out with them and share the gospel? And, after a while of just thinking and receiving feedback from my leaders on my internship and really just praying, I soon began to realize that, God is not calling me to SportQuest specifically. He's using that as a way for me to experience sports ministries. But what he's really calling me into is sports ministries itself. Wherever and with whomever it may be with. As long as I'm serving God with the talents he has blessed me with, I'll be happy no matter where I am. So just to be immersed in the community in Baton Rouge and see the kids that we worked with just opened my eyes to things that I've never seen before. I saw brokenness right before my eyes, and I saw division so clearly displayed. But no matter the race or ethnicity or language that we speak, I never stopped loving the kids, and it didn't stop me from loving them. They have taught me to see the joy and happiness in every little thing of life, and to be grateful for everything I am blessed with back here at home. Everyone has the same desires. We all want to be loved. So when I can share that love that I'm given with those around me, I'm going to do my best to spread it. But to end, I think I know that there's something else that we all have in common, we all share. And that is that we are all still being refined by God. Recently, my pastor at church told me about a pastor who told this sermon about a man who gave his silver to a silversmith to have it refined. And the silversmith placed the silver in the fire, closed the door. After a while, the man asked the silversmith, the silver was ready. And the silversmith pulled the silver out, looked at it, put it back in, closed the door. And after some more time, the man asked again, and again the silversmith did the same thing, pulled it out, looked at it, put it back in. It said that it is not ready yet. And then finally, when the man asked again, when he knows when the silver will be ready, the silversmith pulled out the silver, handed it to the man, and he asked the man, what do you see? The man said that he saw his own reflection. And the silversmith said, it is now ready. So basically, this is just a metaphor for our own lives. The silversmith represents God, and we are the silver, basically. God is continually refining us, checking to see if we are ready, and then putting us back into the fire when we are not yet ready. The trials and struggles and setbacks that we go through in our life are not the end of the world. God has not left us to fend for ourselves. Even though we may feel abandoned by God in those particular moments, instead God is simply putting us back into the fire so that he can continue to refine us and build us up until he pulls us out of the fire and God can see his own reflection when he looks at us. And that is when he knows we are ready and where we are supposed to be. We were created in the image of God, and he is going to keep working in us until he sees his image in us. So I just want to encourage all of you who are going through a rough patch in life, where things seem hopeless, like things will never get better. I've been there before, and I know it's hard. Life is hard. But when we place our trust in God, he will show us that no matter what life does to tear us down, he will always be the one to pick us back up because he is stronger than anything else that you and I are going through. So just hold on to that faith and just, know that there's a better future for us than what we might be suffering through now. And that God has everything planned for us. We just have to be patient enough and wait and see. So I just want to encourage you guys to just really lift us all up and just bless us all and just really know that it's going to be okay. Things are going to be better and you're loved by God. Thank you.